Hi there, McKenna here with a quick word of encouragement. So, I had a situation in my life some time back, and I was praying because it was a very sensitive situation. I knew that I could not win. And not because I was on the wrong, but because of the nature of the situation. So, as I was praying, the Lord spoke to my heart and told me basically, he said, be blameless, be blameless. And so today I want to talk with you about that. Be blameless. Because when you know the battle belongs to the Lord, you can trust Him and He knows how best to fight. He knows how best to fight and to win battles for you. And actually, leaves you in a far much better place than if you were fighting it for yourself. So, the story of David, he was a young youth. Um, his brothers were trained for war, and he was the least um, appropriate for war, youngest. So, he shepherded the sheep for his father as well as his brothers who are viewed more as the people of war, the men of war. And David goes to bring them food and goes back home. But this one time, as he came to talk with his brothers, he heard Goliath talking, and that ignited his spirit. And he felt courage in his heart. He was young, and this man was a massive man and giant, as the Bible says. So David says, you know what? Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that defiles the army of God? And someone overheard him and went and talked with Saul. And Saul called for David. So David comes and explains to Goliath why he is appropriate to go for war. And he starts by giving a testimony. He says, look, I was shepherding and a lion came to attack the sheep. And David says, and I rescued the sheep from the mouth of the lion. So this sheep was already in the mouth of the lion. And David fought with the lion and rescued the sheep. In the same way, he fought with a bear and again rescued the sheep. And he tells King Saul, if these things happened to me in the past, the same God that saw me through that will see me through this. I want to go and fight this man. And so Saul says, you can go. And I like verse 47 where it says, this is David talking. Then all this assembly shall know that the Lord does not save with sword and spear, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give you into our hands. The battle belongs to God. And David says he does not fight with sword and spear. So when we approach the battles of life, sometimes it's easy to get caught up into the momentum of feelings. And what feelings do is they cause us to lose our battle. They cause us to lose our battle because when you get flooded, you are fighting in the flesh. And when you fight in the flesh, you become casualty. You are not any different. But I remember this time as the Lord was telling me, be blameless. And I thought, Lord, how can you be blameless when you see lies being made up, when you see things that are happening that are so unrighteous being done? And the Lord showed me, you just have to trust me. And it's in trusting God that I had to watch Him work things out on my behalf. He says, be blameless. In that process, you pray for wisdom. Okay, God, what should I do in this situation? What should I do in this other situation? And what the Lord did is He was guiding me. He was showing me things ahead of time. And so I was acting in wisdom. I was taking steps as the Lord was showing me. And the Lord fought the battle for me in a way that I could never have fought it in a million years. And so I want to encourage you today. If you can learn to depend on God, if you can learn to let the battles be His, and the way that you fight battles is on your knees, you pray and ask God questions. And as you are asking Him, listen. Listen to God's guidance. And the other thing is when you purpose to depend on God, He gives you peace because there's that state of surrender where you say, this is not about me. At the same time, you realize I cannot fight this battle. It's messy. And if I try to fight, it will only be more messy. But instead, you give it to the Lord and you say, okay, God, you know the ins and the outs. You are my defense. The Bible says that let God be your defense. You are my defense. And you just trust Him. So those battles that you are fighting, those battles that you are carrying today, it doesn't matter what they are. I want to encourage you. Trust God. Let Him fight your battles where you hold your peace and you'll see Him at work. One of the things that the Lord has taught me over years from that one battle, and the Lord told me, be blameless. It was actually really amazing to see how God works things. Be blameless. And I felt like that wasn't just a word for that battle, it was a word for my lifetime. And I do believe that it's a word for you as well. Be blameless. So, whatever situations you are facing, to think of it as in how can I be blameless in this situation? And now, being blameless, you have to keep in mind it's in the sight of God. Be blameless in the sight of God. Because, like I was sharing, it might be that somebody is making up things, stories about you to damage you, to make people turn against you. All these things that happened to me, that can happen and happen to other people on a regular basis. There isn't anything you can do. And the best thing you can do is surrender to God and trust Him. He knows you. He knows you. He knows your thoughts. He knows your heart. You don't have to defend yourself. Hold your peace and surrender to God and trust Him. He knows how best to fight your battles. He knows how best to defend you, and He will give you victory. He'll work it out for you. So I just wanted to encourage you with that one today to just share that one. Hold your peace, be blameless, and let your battle be the Lord's. Let God fight your battles for you. And He fights them, and at the end of the day, you have a far much better victory than you could have when you do it on your own. Otherwise, enjoy your weekend, and God bless.